Hockey season started earlier this month, and it has been a thriller. From the Global Series, rookie debuts, and a goalie goal, we have a lot to catch up on. Welcome back to Penn State Sports Night. I'm Kassie Vasellas alongside Sofia Miranda and Emily Supplee. To break down some teams and players as well as look into some upcoming matchups. So, Sofia, I'm going to start with you on this one. What have been teams that have surprised you and disappointed you so far this season?
Okay, so the first team that has surprised me, I will say the New Jersey Devils. They didn't make it to the playoffs last year, but we all knew how much of a contender they could be, especially because they were out without Jack Hughes, and they're currently doing an amazing season. I just feel like they made a lot of changes during the offseason, and I do believe they increased that team, especially on defense, and the goalies changed. They traded Vitek to San Jose, and I just feel like they made really good choices on the defense and just made a huge depth into it. And yeah,
I agree with the Devils pick for sure. I mean, last year was a big disappointment. I mean, I think everybody really expected them to go far, especially with the season they had prior to last season. But again, I think they were really struggling with the goalies, and the addition of Markstrom, I think, is really what's going to help them. And I mean, they've played more games than anybody else in the NHL. So I mean, that's helping them right now. But I mean, still, they're looking great. So I'd agree with that.
No, yeah, definitely. And for disappointment, I will have to say Nashville Predators. They are 0-5 currently, which has been really bad for them. They allowed 23 goals so far in the season in only 5 games. So it hasn't been looking good for them. And I do feel like they were a huge team last year. They went to the playoffs. They did lose on the first round against the Canucks but it was game 6. It wasn't even near. It wasn't game 4. So I do feel like it's been a huge disappointment. They also made some changes, but we haven't seen that identity from them yet. I know Brady Shea, for example, he came from Carolina Hurricanes, but we still haven't seen them.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a big disappointment. I mean, you're looking at a team, they have 5 losses already and no wins. I mean, and you said 23 goals given up, like, not good in 5 games. I mean, you're expecting a little bit more from them. They did sneak into the playoffs last year with the wild card spot. And I mean, again, if you're looking at a team who was in the playoffs, you're expecting them to be a little bit better than they have started. So definitely a big disappointment.
Yeah.
Now, Emily, what are your teams?
Okay, so I'm going to start off with the Utah Hockey Club. I mean, love to see it. They're coming right out the gate, new identity, new brand. They're reshaping, showing, the NHL who they are. But I mean, did I expect this for them? Not quite. I mean, they were former Arizona Coyotes. Nothing much changed other than the name and who owns it, but they got the same player rosters other than a few trades, but same coaching staff. So, I mean, I didn't expect a huge difference in like the playmaking and how they were going to be performing. But I mean, they've been doing pretty good so far. I mean, I wouldn't say they're amazing, but definitely better than the former Coyotes have been. So
no, definitely. I definitely agree. I also feel like some of the players they traded for are also injured. For example, John Marino, who came from the Devils, he's still injured. We don't know when he'll come back, but they're doing great right now, and they are playing huge teams, and they are winning. So that's definitely something.
Yeah, and you mentioned the injured John Marino. I mean, he's a huge player for them. I think he can really, they're already doing great. Imagine what it's like when he's in the lineup. But my next team that's going to be a disappointment is the Canucks. They're not doing terrible, but I just think for me at the end of last season in their playoffs, they made it past the first round. Like, I really expected them to be a strong cup contender. Like, I thought they were going to come out strong this year. I mean, honestly, I know it's pretty early, but I was thinking, man, maybe they could win the cup this year or make it at least pretty far. But so just to see them falling 2-3 in the first 5 games of the season is a little bit of a disappointment. They are battling right now. Their starting goalie, Thatcher Demko, is out. He's on the IR, so, that can cause some problems for them. But, if you look at last year in the playoffs, he was hurt then, too. And they had 3 different goalies play, and they still did pretty well. So you can't blame it all on the goaltending at the end of the day. Some of that's going to be with the goals scored and, the forwards. But I think it's just been a little bit of a disappointment. I think there's definitely plenty of time for them to turn around the season, but a little bit more drive and a little more dedication from the players.
Oh, I definitely agree. I just feel you talked about the injuries. There's also Dakatar Joshua that was so important on defense, and he's been out for a while. We really don't know when he'll come back. And you said about Zenko, but we did have last year Artur Silovs, and he did an amazing job in the playoffs. So it's not really an excuse for the Canucks to be like this when they were truly at the start of the season a possible cup contender. So,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I definitely agree with both of you. Like you said, you look at Utah, how they were the Coyotes last year. you'd think that maybe this was like a little refresh, rebrand might help them out. And I think it has. They look much better. And then the Predators, like you said, they're 0-5. And last year they were in the playoffs. And now with the new coaching and with new players, it's just not clicking yet for them. And, since we looked at the teams, we're going to get a little more specific with players. So, Emily, I'm going to start with you. What player has caught your eye and you're excited to see kind of what the rest of their season looks like?
Yeah, so a player, he definitely flies a little bit under the radar, but Paul Cotter for the New Jersey Devils. Recently moved to Jersey in the past offseason. He came from the Vegas Golden Knights. In that trade, the Knights acquired goaltender Akira Schmid and forward Alexander Holtz, as long as a draft pick, and all Jersey got in return was Paul Cotter. It's working out for them, though, because he's one of the Devils' current leading goal scorers. It's a huge surprise for me because last year with the Golden Knights, he had 7 goals. Whole season, he had 7 goals. And he played most of the season. He played an upward of 70 games. So for him to be a strong forward and only have 7 goals, that's a disappointment. But this year, he already has 5 goals. The Devils have played, I believe, 8 games so far, and 5 goals. That's insane. For him, it's huge. I think he could be a really key player with the Devils. It might just be because he didn't have the chemistry there at Vegas, but now he's looking great. So I can't wait to see what he does for the Devils.
Definitely. And I feel like the trades the Devils made this offseason, they got Nielsen. They got so many players that will be huge for their, and that shows how they're playing right now. So, yeah,
I agree. I think the Devils, watch out for them. Paul Cotter with them, and they're going to be a strong team this year. And then the other player that I'm going to watch out for is Macklin Celebrini. He's a rookie, first overall draft pick. He's a guy to watch. He is out injured right now. I don't think they quite have a timeline about when he's going to be back.
Week to week right now.
Oh, week to week. So I did think they released a statement, I believe a day or so ago, that they said they're expecting him to be out for close to a month. But he is week to week, so I guess we'll see where that lands up. But, in his 1 goal played, in his 1 game played, he did have 1 goal and 1 assist, so that's good news.
Yeah, and Sofia, what are your players to watch?
Okay, so I'll switch a little bit, and I'll talk about goalies. I do feel like they are one of the most important players in each team. And the first one would be Jake Ottinger. He has played 4 games so far for the Dallas Stars. He won every single one of them. And also, he got 1 shutout for them. He's amazing so far this season. He also had a huge playoff last season. And he also only allowed 6 goals so far. So he's been doing a great job in the Dallas.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And then I'll switch up a little bit to the Rangers. I'll talk about Igor Shesterkin. However, I won't talk about his playmaking because he's been amazing. But the thing about him is that he refused a contract that would make him the highest goalie in the NHL. Not only right now, but in the history of the NHL. So I don't know what's in his mind right now, if he wants to switch up a little bit from New York. But, I wouldn't refuse it, so.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if he stays with New York. I don't really think he's going to leave New York, but it's weird. Yeah. The contract thing is definitely a little iffy.
No, definitely. They're a great team, so I wouldn't imagine where he would want to go after this.
No, I like how you brought up the goalies. That's definitely a bit of a switch. And the rookies, I'm very excited to see how a bunch of the rookies play. But tomorrow is the Frozen Frenzy, so all 32 teams are playing tomorrow, 16 games. What is one game that you're really excited to watch?
I'll first start with the Carolina Hurricanes against the Edmonton Oilers. I feel like both teams haven't got a strong start this season. I just feel like Carolina still haven't found their identity with all the changes they made in the offseason and also gaining players, having players gone off. And the Edmonton, they have a McDavid no-show right now, so they're really struggling. Both teams have penalty minutes, the struggles. They have been getting a lot of them. So I will think like they were both for me cup contenders this season, but they haven't been showing that potential right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that one.
No, yeah. And then I will say a little bit of a controversial matchup. It will be the Anaheim Ducks and the San Jose Sharks. I feel like for this game, the thing that matters for me the most is seeing both teams are in rebuild right now. Just seeing like the new players, young players. And I do believe we have, for example, Will Smith, McLean is obviously out right now, as we said before, but we have all on the Duck side as well. We have Pavel Mintkov and many others. So I do believe it'll be a nice matchup.
Yeah, I would agree. I think Will Smith, I want to see a little bit more from him. He has 0 goals, 0 assists. He's played every game this season. Just think he can be a little bit more, especially he did great in college. He did amazing, so I just want to see a little bit more from him.
He was one of the Hobby Baker's contenders, so he really should be showing up more.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it can be a little bit hard with that dynamic switching from college hockey to professional hockey, but I hope he starts to find his groove here in the next few games.
Definitely.
But, yeah. Emily, what game are you excited to watch tomorrow?
Yeah, so Frozen Frenzy, super excited for it. About 15-minute start times varying. But one of the games I'm super looking forward to is the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Kings. I just think that both of these is going to be a divisional game from them, so big game to start the season off. But I just think for both of them, they got to establish themselves a little bit more so far this season. I think that this will be a good game to show which team, really has it in them to, compete this season and, maybe go to the Stanley Cup Finals. So.
Right.
And then my other game to watch is going to be the Devils and the Lightning. We talked about it. The Devils are starting out super strong this year, and the Lightning aren't off to a bad start either. So this is definitely going to be a good game for them. And just to see how they're going to play throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, really excited to watch it.
Yeah, I definitely agree that those will all be really fun to watch. And tomorrow we will all be glued to our TVs watching these games. But there are still several months left of the hockey season to see what these teams and players have left to bring. For Sofia, Miranda, and Emily Supplee, I'm Kassie Vasellas. Thank you for joining us.
Hey everybody! Thank you for tuning into this edition of Penn State Sports Night. We hope you liked that segment.
And we're sure there's other Penn State Sports Night segments that you are going to love as well. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content.
And check us out on social media for updates and behind-the-scenes clips and pics. Follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with all the action.
For all of us here at the Belisari Media Center, we are
Penn State Sports Night.